There can be only one.
Hey, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be where you are out there. Welcome back to the live stream.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It is so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is January 26th, 2020. And we're going to write a little bit of code today. How's it going there, chat room? Mary Jo Stabler is here. She's another member of the Live Coders team. Good to see you, my friend. Shy Sharp is here. Stelzy, Eternal Dev Coder. Thank you so much for tuning in. And PowerShell Freak as well. How could I miss that? Oh my goodness. I've got a couple things I want to do here. I want to do today, this is effectively going to be a stream in two parts. Hey, DevMan NL, good to see you. And Ashish, hello. Kabazi, good to see you. I started a little bit early today because I want to get a jump on this first one. This is an issue that's kind of been sticking out for a while. It's not a Blazor thing, but our chat bot has been responding weird to the uptime command, you know? So I'm going to fire the uptime command into the chat room, and it's telling us it's been running for 22 hours. It hasn't been running for 22 hours. We just started a little bit ago. So let's crack open the code, see what's going on there. And in order for me to do that effectively, I need to actually have a stream to connect the bot to so I can look at the data coming back from Twitch and get that lined up properly. Hey, Eagle Hansen is here. Good to see you. We're going to have him join us on Tuesday. Special early morning stream for those of us here in the States. Early afternoon for our friends in Europe. We're going to start 2 hours earlier. It should be updated on the schedule just below me here on Twitch. And we're going to go through and talk about testing Blazor components for a bit that morning. Try and get our hands around some of the testing we've been doing as part of our Blazor Web Forms components. And have a good time talking through that. Yeah, 23 hours isn't right, Mary Jo. It's not right. Hey, Janescu. No, I don't have the Blazor with me today. Rocket Propelled Freeman. Hello. Urban Nomad. Good to see you. Jean Valjean. Hello. And Caparino as well. Because of hosting. I don't think it's because of hosting, because this is inside of a Docker component is where our bot is running. So I want to take a look at that and see what we can do to clean up this weird uptime report. It just doesn't look right. So let's get in there first. And that project, well, that's hosted inside of my repository. So I'm going to go over to that code. We'll take a look at that to start. We should be able to get through this real quick. Deploy a new version of the bot and keep right on going here. I put together some other things for Blazor Web Forms components. I'll get to that project after we finish taking a look at this uptime issue, which should be, I have a feeling this is like time zones, like I'm not managing UTC conversions properly. I'm going to get some music playing in the background here. This is, of course, music to code by our friend, Mr. Carl Franklin, scientifically designed engineer to get you in the flow, get you in the groove, so that whatever task it is you're working on, you can focus on and just get stuff done. I'm all twitched out today. Look at that. Got Twitch shirt on the what is this? Graphite type background, and I got my purple Twitch trucker hat on. I'm feeling good about Twitch. This song is called Purple. From Music to Code from our friend Mr. Carl Franklin. Thank you so much, Carl, for letting us listen to your music while we write code together here on stream. If you like songs like this, if this gets you in the groove and helps you get focused, check it out, music.mtcb.pulwop.com. Or you can get your copy you can also get a link if you execute the music command in the chat room, and it'll give you a link over to that. The good John Skeet would say use Noda time. You're not wrong. We've had John on the stream before, and he showed us how to use that. You're not wrong. But I think we were handling the date time properly, but something's just not quite right here, and we're going to take a look at that right now. Let me head over to the code. Here it is. This is the code for our Twitch proxy. We wrote this to be able to connect over and get data about streams from Twitch. And one of the commands it has right here is to get the uptime. So you can get stream information if you have a API to Twitch. There's an endpoint. There's an HTTP endpoint you can query, and you can get all the information about the currently running stream. And it's actually at API Twitch TV /helix/streams, and then that user's login. I said and then. That user's login. It's right there. So we should be able to query, get back that information, and where'd it go? Where'd that get uptime method go? Get uptime. No. Where'd it go? I just had it open. Seriously? It was like right here. Nope, that wasn't it. I also added the Pretzel Rocks bot to our list of ignored bots, so that we're not inadvertently querying it over and over again. There it is, uptime. So I want to take a look here at what value it's returning so that this subtraction here works properly. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here, and we're going to start up the bot and see exactly what it's reporting here. Looks like it might be 0 minus the real uptime. Could be. Twitch may have changed their API so that it's returning wrong. Nah, that 2244 would mean that I would have been running for an hour 16. That's not right. I'm not running. I literally just started 5 minutes ago. So there's the website for this. But I should be able to go to the chat room now and execute uptime. Here it is. So it's going to get the stream information and return that. So it has a value, and the value it has is 14:45:17. That is UTC time. 14:45, right? If I come over here, this is, right? I can add a clock, right? Where is it? I can add additional clocks. Yes, show additional clocks. Add clocks for different time zones. And I'm going to add one for UTC. So it's real easy for us to see. And I will just call it UTC, adding this into Windows. Hey, Copper Beardy. Good to see you. So when I look at this now, there it is. UTC is 14:58. And so that was 3 minutes ago that it started. Rambling Geek.
Rambling Geek just resubscribed for 17 months. Afternoon.
Hey there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that support, and we're gonna make a donation to code.org. Thank you very, very much for that. So this is being called, it should be called from the uptime command right there, and it should be returning it. Now that returned properly, 13 minutes and 16 seconds. Actually, that's not correct. 13 minutes and 16 seconds? Did I start 13 minutes ago? No. No way. That's still not right. Right? Because if I started at 14:54? That should have said, carry the 1. No. That's not right. Do that again. Copperbeardy's another member of the Live Coders team. It's good to see you, sir. So, okay. Get that data, return it. Okay, that, it looked like it just choked out at. You know? Alright. Started at value is 14:45. Did I start at 14:45? In which case the 1420 is correct. And I didn't change any code, and it just works now. That feels weird. That doesn't feel right at all. I mean, okay. I guess that's right. 15:05. I guess I've been going for 15 minutes already? Really? Yeah, okay. OBS says 15 minutes. Looking at the timer on the bottom there. So, I didn't change any code and it works. I guess that's right then. So, let me rebuild and redeploy. Come here. I'm going to keep a reference to that folder so we can jump right back to it. That's not the right folder either. There we go. And I added an entry into app settings for the bots to ignore. Yeah, those are the only changes I made. Added ability to ignore bots from configuration. Let me show you what that looks like. So over here in the chatbot, I added an other bots array that comes out of my configuration. So if you look at my application configuration, other bots, Nightbot, Fritzbot, Stream Elements, Pretzel Rocks. If there is not a value there, it's going to put in those as the default. Otherwise, grab that collection of bots, split it, and that's who we're going to ignore. So this is only used in one place, right here. If the other bots list contains whoever the username is, if it does not contain it, don't check the sentiment. There's somewhere else the other bots list is, where it won't even look at them. Where'd it go? Right, so there's that. I might have missed one of these. Because it should also ignore it for some of the other commands here. I may have missed something here. Oh my gosh. Me? Miss something? Never. Right, here's where it's checking if you submit a URL. To go check out what the hyperlink is, return the title of it. So image descriptor command, Instagram check. Well, that doesn't look like it's actually doing anything anymore. Did I move that? Because it does return the titles. I may have moved it. The image descriptor is over here. Yeah, where's it actually doing the hyperlink check if there's a hyperlink in there? You know? Right? Azure Q&A HTTP page title command. That's where it is. We moved it over here. Can execute if it contains a link. And actually, we don't want this to run. We don't want this to run if the user is one of our bots. Ah, all right. So let me put that in here. So I've already got the users here. Let's make this internal, because then I can go over here, right? And where's can execute? There we go. And I can update this quickly. I could say if chat. Oh, I don't. I need a reference to the current chatbot. Hang on. Let's see if we can improve this quickly here. Right. There's the execute, but I thought there was a constructor here. No, I don't have it. I don't have a reference to the current chatbot. I mean, I could make this internal static. Like that. And then I could just say fritzbot. Right, but did I break anything over here? I don't think so. If fritzbots, other bots contains, and the string value is going to be username, right, invariant. Why am I blanking on what this should be? Yeah, look closely at the code and it just works. I don't like that. Right, I could force this to lower invariant. Return false. So don't execute if it's one of our bots that we should ignore. Let's run that. Should still work. Right? And then we can move back into our Blazor components here. Because I think we'll have this fixed. Hey, I hit play. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Where's
Wait,
my...
Master.
No, I'm not going to wait.
It might be dangerous.
Not dangerous. There it goes. Here, I can... There you go. Ashley B, there's information about the keyboard. And it didn't go and reconcile that link. But if I do type something like www.asp.net, there you go. So it tells me. Now I'm in the forever loop. That's great. It should ignore also from the Fritz bot not to do this. But it's the other bot that, right? Yeah, it's me that did it, so... Okay, I think we've got this fixed. Because it will ignore itself.
Oh my.
This bot is running under my ID here. So... alright. I'm going to commit. What did I change? Yeah, we're good. Added other bots to be ignored on the HTTP title command. Fantastic. Push that. We'll take a look at what the tag is. Build, redeploy. So the last tag that we have here is 117.4. Okay. Right. Build 1.17.5. So this is going to rebuild our Docker container. I'll restart the Docker container that the bot runs in, and we'll move on. We'll get back over into Blazor. Building components. So the challenge that we left off with last time, come on there, Docker, get running, was we're trying to build a tree view dynamically based on the data that we're binding to. What's the text under the follower goal? It's the date that we're supposed to end at. Stream Elements doesn't support that font size properly. While this is loading, I can show you. So here's stream elements. And it's still building there in the background. So if I grab this component here, check this out. Text settings, right? And right, that right. Just while we're waiting. Set a goal, set a title for your goal, follower goal. 10K 12-hour party, and there is, where'd it go? The secondary text is the goal end date that would be appearing down underneath of it. So it's not showing. I've gone to scroll. Where'd it go? So there's the fonts, position style, go to the text settings, right? So if I change this, right, let's make this 18, right? You can start to see it, so shrink it down a little bit more, 16. Now you can see it says ends in 6 days. If I save this, right, which is right there, it didn't update this. It looks proper here, but it doesn't update this. See that? It doesn't matter what this value is, it's not showing it. And now that says secondary text. So even if it, right, this is 16 up here, right? Let's push this down to, I mean, look at how small I've made that. Hit save and it doesn't update here. So I don't know what it is, but it doesn't work. That font setting doesn't work. So it's just the date that it ends, and it's honestly open-ended. I don't have a goal end date for this, right? I can't even clear it out, right? So if I push it out to somewhere out here, save, see, it doesn't show. So while it looks proper here on the user interface, it doesn't work. And I've logged that problem with them several times, and it works for us. Clearly, it doesn't work here on stream. All right, so that built, that ran. I'm going to kill the running instance of the bot. Start a new. It's over here. It's going to get a latest copy of it, and we should be able to say, I see your comment there, webface, and it still says the wrong time. Now that's got me thinking it's a container issue. Why does the container think it's a different time altogether? Yeah, it just ran uptime, so it's in cooldown for 40 more seconds. Why does the Docker container think it's on a different time zone? Don't know how the clock is configured to run. These are good questions. So let's try and connect to that. If I do a Docker PSA, so I can take a look at the container that's running out there. There it is, 685. So if I Docker exec -t bash on 685, right? That should I've got it backwards. 685 bash, right? I'm in. Hello. Oh, I didn't make it interactive. Hang on. Now I can, okay. Time, how do I get the date time out of this? No. How do I get the current time? Right? What's the Linux command to get the current time? Command is date. 1621 UTC on Saturday, January 25th. How is that so far off? You know? Hey, Simon, good to see you. Webface got your sticker pack. Fantastic. So glad to hear that. I wonder, what if... Where's the Docker? This thing. Nah, it's not the wrong time zone, because that's a UTC up there. I'm wondering if something happened and the virtual machine on Windows that the container runs on top of somehow got skewed here. Because that's not supposed to happen. Hello? Docker desktop. Settings. Well, that's not making me feel really good about it. There it goes. So it says it's restarting. Yeah, why is it the UTC of Saturday? Right? It's like the container was paused. The VM the container runs on was paused, restarted, and somehow didn't sync up its time again. Okay, now it says it's running. Okay, so that stopped. Try and rerun that. Okay. Ten Charlie. Okay, now we're talking. Right now we should be able to run the uptime. There we go. All right, now we're talking. So it turned out it was something with my machine. It wasn't any code that needed to be rewritten. Fantastic. One problem down. Robert Tables. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, so turns out our container needed to be restarted. Our container host. Yeah, it gets it from the host machine, but on Windows, the host is a Hyper-V hosted Linux machine. Just a little shim. Have you tried turning it on and off again, says Simon. Simon, I tell you what I've done. I
drink and I know things.
I've been drinking. No, not today, but yeah. Anyways, no day drinking here. That's different. Okay. So let's change it up here. I'm going to edit stream info. Let's change the topic here. And this, let's call this dynamically building Blazor components. Yeah, dynamically building Blazor components from data. Let's jump back in. There we go. Change the title up. Feels good. And I'm going to change projects over here. And let me bring you up to speed on just a couple things that I did while we were away. Yeah, other things were going on. I've added a code of conduct and a contributing section to the project. Code of conduct is very boilerplate. This comes from the contributor covenant. Everything is identical here because the things that they set forth for a code of conduct for folks contributing to a project, this is pretty boilerplate, and it's all just kind of boils down to be nice to each other, use welcoming and inclusive language, be respectful of differing viewpoints and experiences, gracefully accept constructive criticism, focus on what's best for the community, show empathy towards other community members. Here's some unacceptable behavior. Here's what the project maintainers are responsible for. The scope applies within all project spaces. Enforcement, there's my email address if you have a complaint about how somebody is behaving. Pretty straightforward. But I also wrote a contributing doc here, and I want to add one or two things to the contributing doc. Now, contributing.md it's one of these magic files that happens in GitHub, just like the license. It's a magic file. The presence of this in your repository lights up features inside of GitHub. So when somebody sends a pull request, if there's a contributing MD, it lights up a field inside the pull request that you can click and get more information about how to contribute. And yeah, I've got a... this is broken because it's the current test that we're working on that's broken. So inside this contributing MD, basically don't be a Muppet. Yes. Step 1, be excellent to each other. Absolutely, Robert Tables. It doesn't get any easier than that. Be excellent to each other. Don't be not awesome. Absolutely. So the other feature, right? So here in contributing, I grabbed somebody else's. I think it was the Atom project. I grabbed their contributing document and started using that as kind of a template for some of the things I wanted to talk about inside of our contributor guidelines here. And of course, I first have I need to link the code of conduct here. What should I know before I get started? The project is currently a single library, but that will provide a shim, a buffer that will help you convert markup to run Blazor. So this is kind of the purpose of the project. The project will grow in the future to support more automated conversion from ASP.NET Web Forms to Blazor. We've already heard some folks say it'd be really cool if we had a tool that helps convert user controls automatically, just reformat the code. Or it'd be really cool if we had some snippets to go along to help generate some of the code, or some analyzers that we can run against the project and get some information about your preparedness for Blazor, your Blazor preparedness score. I would love to have that built before build in May. Looking further, I wanted to make sure I outlined, here's our project folder structure. So where things reside and what those things are. We may add a top-level tests folder if there are integration tests to show at some point. I think that just kind of makes sense. All official versions of the project are built and delivered with Azure DevOps pipelines and linked in the main README and releases tab in GitHub. I need to do a better job of the releases tab here, and I also should add something about published to NuGet. Design decisions designed for this project is ultimately decided by the project lead, me. The following project tenets are adhered to when making decisions. And here are the 4 tenets that I think chat room we can all kind of agree to, and let me know if we want to change this a little bit. Let me give you a link to this project that we're currently in here, Ashish, just in case you want to get to that one. All attributes of the original controls should be supported. This helps emphasize the convert your markup features. Attributes, not properties. There's a difference there, the markup attributes. HTML markup by the components should replicate the markup generated by the original controls. This helps to ensure the components behave as the web form controls were expected to. I might want to add something there that says we can add additional rendering features after the fact, but the default, maybe this should say the default HTML markup, so that you can opt in and say, make this look better, make this look more proper. Hard house. I don't speak for my employer on items surrounding security. I do not address press releases like that here on stream. That's not my group, that's not my division, and I have no knowledge of that I can share here on stream. Coding stocks. Updated bullet point to read, being respectful of differing viewpoints you experience and experiences. Hang on. Coding stocks. Be respectful of differing viewpoints and experiences. Accept people that use spaces over tabs. Seriously, what's wrong with you?
What'd you do?
Yeah, what? Well played there, my friend. Well played. Thank you for sharing that. The difference in internet for this project has been apparent. Intent here that this is going to become bigger and more long-term than normal. Yes. Here's some source we welcome PRs we normally have for stream project. Yes, absolutely. Hey there, is that Rubes? Welcome, Rubes. Good to see you. And that's an upset dog. I don't know why. I don't know why. There's a difference in intent, you're saying, for this project being apparent. Yes. The intent here is that this might get shorter if we get help, if we get significant help from folks. I think there's an opportunity here for us to learn a whole bunch of things. Maybe we get into some of these automated tools that go along with this, and we learn how to build some conversion pieces. We learn and spend more time building Roslyn analyzers for a little bit. That would be fun. That'd be interesting to do here on stream. And the goal here on the channel has always been, let's write some code that's productive that we can use and learn along the way. So, and that's a little bit of what's going on, particularly with this project. We're learning more and more Blazor features as we get into some more of the complex components that we're going to be building. That's a very upset puppy. It's not really a puppy, but okay. So I've got a couple edits here I think we want to put in here. How can I contribute? We're always looking forward to help on this project. There are many millions of applications built that target ASP.NET Web Forms, and we need your help building and identifying scenarios that need to be supported. There are several ways you can help. Tell us your story. Tell us how you're currently using the Web Forms framework so that we can build to meet your needs. This is something I've heard from a number of folks on Twitter. Oh my gosh, I saw you talk about Blazor for Web Forms developers, and your idea of building components that help us migrate is going to really help. Well, that's great. How do you currently use the Web Forms framework beyond some of these components that are here? Are there some samples, a sample page that shows your scenario? Can we get that into our Before Web Forms project so we can have something to target and emulate? Even more so then, let's put together a desired scenario as a unit test in our test project so we can make sure that that works. Finally, of course, you can always report an issue with details of a bug you've found. Be sure to tag it as a bug so that we can triage and track it. Writing code for a component. All code for components should have assigned issues that match it, and all code should be accompanied with unit tests at the time the pull request is submitted. Pull requests without unit tests will be delayed and ask for unit tests to prove their functionality. I think this is something going forward that I think is, it's kind of table stakes. We've reached a point where we got a lot of code here, and if folks are sending us code, write a little bit of a unit test that shows it works. That's not hard. This is a much bigger and wider scope project than anything we've attempted before. You're right, Simon. You're right. And this could become a thing. I very much think this is becoming a thing. Of course, writing documentation, and it'd be nice to include some documentation when you send a component and update some documentation. We're always looking for help. Folks writing documentation, which shouldn't be hard to do. I think we need some. I think I can kind of put a stake in the ground and define what a good piece of documentation is, so that other folks that may want to contribute, that feel moved, can reach out and say, oh, I'm going to write one for this component that looks like that one, and kind of have something to emulate. Have I tried, is that Medley fan? Hello. Has a comment here, has a question. Asking, have I tried out other front-end frameworks besides Blazor? How do they compare with it? Are you referring to frameworks like Vue and Angular or React? Those are a little bit faster in the browser, only because JavaScript is native in the browser and it takes a little bit of time for things to execute. What's great about Blazor, though, is everything's compiled and using C# and works the way that my brain currently thinks. So for me, I'm more productive with Blazor right now than I would be in one of those other frameworks. It also means that I've got runtime checking, and I can reuse components back and forth from server to client, and also into my mobile applications, my desktop applications. Everywhere that I want .NET to be, my code just works. So it's not bad. It's a good place. It's a good thing for me to be able to use and work with. Performance is a little bit better with the server-side code because it's running on a really fast server. The client-side stuff with WebAssembly it's a big download, but once it arrives, it runs at near native speed. So that's pretty good. So, hey, Anrield, and Brave Cobra's here as well. Hello, hello. Each tech has its own pros and cons, and Blazor is a year and a half old. We're just at the beginning of this. There's still optimizations to happen. There's still tuning that's going to happen and make it better. You're welcome, Medley fan. I'm glad I could answer your question. And, you know, being able to get in at the beginning here is very exciting. We did a whole day's worth of sessions as part of the .NET Conf Focus on Blazor about a week and a half ago now. You can check that out over on the .NET YouTube page. I don't have a link for that. Do a search for .NET Conf Blazor, and you'll find it out there on YouTube. So I put together this contributor covenant. Let me go over to the dev branch, and let me throw those couple edits in here. And there's one or two more things I want to make sure I reference here. Let's scroll down here, make sure what should I know before I get started. Blah 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 blah. There's what the folders look like. Design decisions. Oh, there was a thing. So about the tests, here we go. All code that is written, I want to make sure I link back to Eagle's test library here. We use the Razor Components test library. This way I also have the link to it on the project here. And I'll also include a link to the NuGet. Is that the NuGet? Yes. Good. Where did it go? Here. Rats. That's not what I want. Right. Razor Components testing library. Let's put the NuGet link in there to test our controls, our components. Okay. Was there something else? I thought there was something else I wanted to write. That's good enough. Added link to testing library. Cool. All right. Let's see this in action. Yeah, we're gonna get there. You spend most of, and you understand nothing? Oh, wackos. Let's get that fixed. Any information on solution structure, folder, project layout with intentions of what should go where? Yeah, well, that's here for the solutions layout. For the project layout, I could add some more information. I certainly could. Right, I mean, I've defined that's how this works for inside of this project. And I even think that the control samples, I could pull that out into its own shared library. So it's not just in server side, but it's referenced in both. I could definitely do something like that. Let me move on. I wanted to show you that I do have a contributing doc here to try and make it a little bit easier for folks to find their way into the project. And I need to update the README so it has links to some of these other controls with docs for them. But let's get into that tree view now. And let me show you what this looks like in action, because I'm pretty happy with where we are at this point, and we'll dig in and start building out some additional features here. Particularly, we're working on this XML data binding feature of the TreeView, which is interesting to say the least. Come on. I clicked run. You're doing something, aren't you? Aren't you? Come on now. I'm waiting in...
Anticipation.
There it is. All right, here we go. Come on. Come on.
You can do it!
Please start. You know? Here we go. All right. This is the TreeView running with some static nodes over here. And you see it does collapse up very nicely. And I can click through and navigate to these. And it works nicely. We're particularly showing off, right? Here's just a sample showing these. We can build out and make these samples much more descriptive, showing here's the code that's being executed, blah, 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 blah. But what we're trying to do is this one down here, being able to bind that TreeView to other data sources. And the first one that we're trying to bind to is an XML data source. And you can see I've got an error right here. Darn you! If I open up the console, and this is where we're trying to resume and work at here, right? There we go. So I've got, well, that's a problem. A little syntax error for data list component. That's somewhere else, right? Doesn't have that problem now, of course. Navigating around, that just works. If I go back to, all right, back over to this one. So here's the error that we're running into, an error applying batch 30. Now, I understand that this is an error because of how I'm trying to dynamically add components to the Blazor render tree. So we need to unwind this and look at exactly what's going on there, because dynamically adding components to the render tree, this is like adding HTML to the page as it's being rendered. You have to tell it the appropriate place and the order in which to render it so that it renders properly. And evidently we're not doing it right. So I have a unit test that exposes this. The reason I was using IIS Express Brave Cobra is because if you run your project with IIS Express with the debugger detached, it'll automatically rebuild and reattach to IIS Express for you as you update the project. Eternal Dev Coder asks, let me bring up that one. Is WebForms still a supported technology, and should it be used for anything new? It is still supported as part of .NET Framework 4.8. However, it's a slower technology that in compiling, in building, it requires things to run on Windows. Modern web techniques and strategies are just too complex to add back into WebForms. So folks were adding shims, adding things so they could make it work. It's not something that Microsoft is interested in continuing to maintain and add new features to keep the framework current with the current trends of the internet and the web. So with .NET Framework being pushed into maintenance mode, the decision was made. We have other frameworks that folks are much more interested in building with, that are faster and that provide better experience and that aren't tightly coupled to other things and give more flexibility to developers. At this time, I would not recommend building anything new with WebForms. Use ASP.NET Core, move there, and there are features that will make your development a better experience. WebForms is not supported in .NET Core. It will not be supported in .NET 5. There are other frameworks. Razorpage is one of them. Blazor server-side is another one. MVC works great as well. And there are hundreds of thousands of businesses out there using WebForms programs. So how do we get them moving forward into one of our newer frameworks that's better, faster, and going to be more well supported with current technologies? Well, let's give them a shim so they can do this rewrite a little bit easier. MCT Reptile, thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate the follow. So it needs more view state, says Steve. No, gosh, no. So we're trying to do this part here, this data bind. Let me get, where is it? I don't see the test. So there's this here. It's weird. There's no way to go back to the full playlist here. I want to make sure that I get I have a test for TreeView for the XML binding. So let me go tests, test explorer. Here we go. XML data source. I'm going to grab this and add it to my TreeView playlist. Close this. Save that playlist. Yes, thank you. Yes, please overwrite it. So now I have my unit test that shows the XML data source here. Simple from the docs is what it's called. And let me click through and show you what this looks like. This is very similar to the documentation that came from docs.microsoft.com for how to use the TreeView and do XML data binding. So I've formatted it so it uses our TreeView component here, and I've got tree node bindings, and I'm binding to a data source called book.xml. Book.xml is an XML document, and I load that XML document from some hard-coded XML here in my test. Now, I could load this from file, I could load this from an HTTP endpoint, but in order to make this as fast as possible for a unit test, I just hard-coded it right here. So we can test against this and make sure that it loads properly. So the idea is, after my test setup happens, it should do these tree node bindings and start showing the content inside of it. So the first one is, it says take the books and wire up the title from those book fields. And if we look at our XML, so it should grab the book title, and make that, because that's at the top, the root element of our tree. It should then continue down and pull out the chapters, the sections, and wire those up as child elements inside of our tree view. Now, we're getting this error popping out. Did not render all 6 nodes of the XML document. So we need to investigate what's going on here that it didn't render all of them. And from the error that we saw in the browser, it looks like we're not properly painting and adding them into the hierarchy. So we're going to need to take a look and debug through how it's appending these. Let me take a look back at the chat room. Eternal Dev Coder says their main problem is not having the manpower to convert a lot of older programs. Right. So if you don't need to convert them. If they're working just fine, older programs will continue to be supported with .NET Framework 4.8, which means you have at least 10 years of support by the current lifecycle. Zebcode's looking at starting to build chart controls for the app, whether you use D3 or not, building a charting engine from scratch. Oh, it's very hard to do. You don't think we need D3? Okay. You can work with SVG tags directly. Fantastic. How do you do that? Doing charts in Canvas 2D or WebGL would be pretty fun. You're right. And Steve, you are not wrong. If this were Visual Basic, we could do this as an XML literal. Yes. And in fact, that's one of the arguments from folks that prefer Visual Basic and want to use that with Razor is things like this you could do as an XML literal, and it becomes very easy to use. Brave Cobra is going to be at TwitchCon in Amsterdam. Terrific! That's tremendous. I hope to see you there, my friend. It'll be really cool. All right. So that setup looks right. Let me take a look at the tree view. So when we're data binding to that XML document, I have a method here. Well, I have a render fragment called child nodes render fragment, and we're trying to build it on the fly. So we're starting a region, we're adding elements to that, and we're closing the region. This way, we've got things kind of isolated. This is where our element is. This is where our tree view is. Add elements is a private inline method here. Passes in the render tree builder and the XML node list of siblings that we're looking at. So for each XML node in that list, first off, make sure it's an XML element. Then cast that node as an XML element. Look and see if we have that to bind to. If we do have a binding for it, open a component, open a tree node component, add that tree node with some text, with the text attribute that is whatever the text field is. Read that out. And if this element in our XML document has child nodes, we'll add elements for that element's child nodes. Close component. So if we do this right, it should build those XML nodes for us that we currently do handle. We handle these statically if they're created. And what we're trying to do is we are trying to create these and get them wired in, because this tree nodes child nodes render fragment is rendered right here. The same place right next to, if we had static content, would be rendered there. So I'm trying to get this rendered and added in. Let's make sure that it's actually adding the appropriate nodes to this. So I'm going to set a breakpoint right here. And let's also put one on the for each. And I'm going to debug into this. And let's see if we can figure out where it's choking here. Take a look-see. What do we got? What do we got, friends? I have a feeling that, oh, you know what? I wonder if the counters here, I wonder if the counters aren't counting properly. Okay, so this is one element, okay? And that element is the book element, the top level element inside of that test. Good. So this should create a tree node, and my tree node counter is now 1. It's going to add, I think I'm adding the same. Yeah, now it's 2. Okay. Add elements. So this element has child nodes. So now it's going to go back and say, well, add for the child nodes. So for each one of the child nodes, if this node is an XML element, continue, yes. So this element is chapter. Okay. So it's going to go see if we have a binding for this. We do. And yeah, that I don't think that's right. I think I'm clobbering it right there. This needs to be ++ on this side, I think. And close component. I think that's right. Let me try running that again. Now that I've kind of identified these pluses look like they're on the wrong side. Most third-party component providers are generating SVG for their chart components. Cool. That works. And nope, still doesn't. So I only have one element that's being generated, which looks like it, if I comment this out, do I still get that weird error where it says, oh, you're not generating things, you're not adding, it's not updating the batch properly. Let's take a look, see. So, XML data source. Okay. I didn't get the error. So if we examine this, right, I have, here's my table for, right, this is the div for the tree view. Here's my table, right, and it rendered that book title element properly. Okay. If I tell it to go add the next round of child nodes here, right? And let's try and force it to stop, so it doesn't continue going, right? If I rerun this, and I have to rerun it because it's in a project that isn't directly referenced. Okay, so here's my XML data source, and here, right, it's erroring out, error applying batch 17. So, right, how can I stop it? Right, it's like I want to add a depth here. Int depth equals 0, right? And if I pass that, if element has child nodes and depth less than, hey there, Zebcode, thank you so much.
Zebcode just resubscribed for 2 months. I've got so much from this channel. You've taught me a lot, and for that I am eternally grateful. D.
Thank you so much, Zebcode. Yeah, we'll make another donation to code.org, and I'm very happy that you've learned something here. Very much appreciate that. So that didn't work either. Adding that second, trying to block it after it adds that second element here. What is the max depth in the web forms control? Well, I'm not even there. Steve with a comment that Apple is openly hostile to standards. There is documentation from folks at the various browser vendors that Apple has no intention of supporting some of the features that Edge and Chrome want to add. They have no intention of updating Safari. So there is a little bit of a combative nature coming from that team. I don't think we've hit so I'm trying to limit the max depth here, right? If let's put a break here, and let's actually debug this. Take a look at it. I think we can find something. Hopefully we can find something here when we click through and start rendering this. All right, so I'm going to turn off that breakpoint, step through. So my first depth is 0, so it's going to add child elements underneath of this. Oh, I didn't want to add the second. Let's do this. So it doesn't continue adding that. Yeah, one more time. Am I resetting depth each time? I'm passing in the current depth +1 here, so that it increments as we're going along. Right? Medlifan! Oh my gosh!
Gifted Cyberpunk_computing a subscription. Medlifan gifted a tier 1 sub to Cyberpunk_computing. This is their first gift sub in the channel.
Oh, I didn't see your comment there. Cyberpunk Computing just landed a position as a Java developer. We gotta celebrate that. Congratulations, my friend. There we go. And you're going to be using the Hibernate framework for working with relational databases. Very good. A lot of folks like Hibernate. There was a port that was written for .NET folks called NHibernate as a object relational mapper. Real easy to use. 15,000 Fritz bits. Should you ask for Notepad? No, don't ask for Notepad right now. That would be a bad idea. That would be just cruel. Okay, so here we go. Stepping through. So it's got depth, right? So it's not doing this additional rendering, closing the components, and I've still got the same error, right? Okay. Hey, Sunnerganol, thank you for the kind wishes there. Yeah, right now would be a bad time to go to a text editor as we're trying to debug through here. This is a little painful adding this. I mean, I might be able to do this declaratively. Maybe? Right? I mean, I'm trying to add... Where'd it go? I'm adding a tree node component here. And the first one works. It does render properly. Right? If I force this to 0, let's make this just a little bit more interesting, right? I could add navigate URL and I could set it to, just to kind of force an issue here, right? I could set it to bing.com, right? Just to get something in there. And if we run that, we should see just the first element appear and a bing.com link on it, right? So there it is, XML data source, and that navigates to bing.com. Okay, so that works. I didn't even get the first load running properly. List of component records is not valid. There it is. So it's not, right? It's the next step through that it feels like it's not rendering properly, right? So if we let that open up to 1, right? The tree node counter, as it's adding these elements, should be... Let's see what happens. I feel like this is just a managing of these counters. Well, that's not going to work. Try that again. Any reason I chose XML over something thinner like JSON or YAML? Asks Zebcode. This is the sample that the original control supported. So we want to continue to support that. When we get data binding working for this component, then we can certainly consider adding other features like that, other data sources to bind to. Not out of the question at all, but we want to continue to support the existing feature capability. Blazor Mr. Magoo says, I would disable pre-rendering if you're debugging component rendering, or you'll find yourself debugging code that doesn't call all the lifecycle methods first pass. Okay. So here I am, tree node counter is 3. And now it's added added 3 more components, which would have been 4, 5, and 6. We're at 6 now. Right? So it sure looks like it's counting properly and adding those, but it's not giving me... Yeah. Oh, yeah, Smab is absolutely right. I really love YAML. Welcome in, Taragor. Welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in the chat room. I appreciate the follow. Because I get the pre-rendered one, which is not a full render, then you get the real render. Icarus HQ, thank you for the follow as well. I appreciate you joining us on this fine Sunday. Well, should it be rendering? It's still adding elements to the render fragment. Right? It's not done yet. Is it going to start rendering before I finish closing the region? I mean, I could do this first, right? No, I need to do it as I'm adding onto this render fragment that I drop here. Now, I mean, the other way to do this would be to try and make this extremely declarative. I'm debugging inside the delegate, which is during the pre-render event. Yes. Yes. Completely get it. And the declarative method is generally easier and nicer. Okay. And how do I turn off the pre-render? If I turn off the pre-render, right, how do I... there it is. In the home page, server pre-rendered. So up here in Blazor server side, render mode, static or server. Go to server. Let's see what that looks like now. Recommends, well, how do you set that in an if debug in the middle of HTML? That's not trivial. So I'm still toast here with the same errors. So I'm not getting the help there. I'm not getting any insight. not adding anything more. Really like this to work, but open this up so it does try to render everything. Yeah, it would be great to be able to do that with an if debug, but we're inside HTML where that's being referenced. Yeah. Toast. Yeah, it is a sample app, right? Should be able to copy the code from the delegate to the Razor view with minor changes. Right. If they're not registered yet, I'm going to need to force a re-rendering. Might be able to do something with that. This code you're referring to, which is really, I'm building a tree node on the fly, at which point, yeah, and I need to for loop on this, right? Recursively call that for loop. I think that, I think you're right, that's going to be the way to go. So let's comment this out. So this isn't even being accessed. If we were to try and do this declaratively with markup, right? If data source does not equal null. So if we've got a data source, we've now got to do this iteration across, generating the nodes and declaratively creating, building templates for these. Right? How do I do? Well, I guess we can do code to output a tree node element. I would do like a switch type here, but I only have, right, if data source is XML document. And I can actually declare this. Let's call this XML doc. Right? It wants a full system XML document. There we go. Thank you for the follow, Eigenfunk. Hello, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Rekabik is asking, recently interviewed for a C# .NET Core position. They seem interested, even though you have no experience with C# or .NET. Where would you go to start learning if you came from another language? Go to .NET/learn. Tremendous resources there to get you started and pointed on the right direction. Thank you, Eigenfunk. And ThinkBot Labs, good morning. Welcome in. So now here, right, this is where I'm going to do this recursive for loop to add components, to build, to generate the tree nodes on the fly. And right, recursively call it. So how do we do that recursively? From here. Blazor Mr. Magoo is suggesting that the tree node could accept a data source, and each tree node could pass a subset into its children. could be okay. In addition to this, I also need to make sure data bindings is a thing, so that we know, hang on, not just data source and data bindings. Okay. So we need to look at the document element, see if that's in our data bindings. Bind to it and start passing it down that collection. BSD guy asks, how do I like Blazor? I'm enjoying it. I really am. Building components like this, we're really finding some of the corners of the framework, trying to dynamically add components to a hierarchy, to a graph of components that are being built on the page. It's difficult, it's interesting, and that's why we're working through it here. And some of these edge scenarios that we're finding, we can report back to the team, to the Blazor team, because it is an open source project. They're taking feedback, and hopefully we can provide some of that feedback that will allow them to make design decisions to make the framework better for everybody. Just tried opening up the project in Rider, and the unit tests seem to work well. Good. Glad to hear it. So if I pass this... If I pass this in... Not only do I have to pass the XML document as a data source, but I also have to pass the data bindings into the tree nodes so that it knows what information to bind to each of the elements. Instead of generating those nodes on the fly from the tree view and passing them down. I don't need to actually pass that stuff in, because the tree node itself, the tree view, is accessible from inside the tree nodes. They just need to know what their parent node is. Does the tree node know what its parent node is? I think it does. It does, and it also has a hook into the parent tree view. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I think you are thinking what I'm thinking. I could bind, right? I need to generate the tree node and add it into the hierarchy. And each child tree node needs to know, not just generate child content, but do a for loop across its data source and generate the appropriate child elements for it. Some poor tree nodes out there who have no idea who their parents are. Well done. I play poker badly. Yeah. I think we can do that. It's a little bit tricky, but we can definitely do that. So let's... Happy little tree nodes. Yes, Threnan. Okay. So if I grab... Right, if I grab the document element, right? Look at the data bindings. Okay. Because this is the root, right? XML doc, select single node, right? The document. I should be able to say, well, is it document element? No. I want the root element. So that's the root element, right? And if data bindings, no. Right, it was tree node bindings. There they are. Got to make this protected so it's visible over here. If it contains... No, not... I asked for a B. Right, data member. Looking at the test. Data member is the name of the element. Where data member equals root dot local name, right? So that those match. Not toot. Root binding equals. Let's just get that. First or default, right? If root binding does not equal null, then we're going to build that tree node. Right? And right now, the only thing I know how to, I have a requirement to bind is text. So text, going back to here, is going to be this. Right? So this is root get attribute. Now there's more that we're going to need to add to that. But that should do this. What do you mean? As XML element. There we go. I should put system XML in a using statement up here. Hey. Get rid of those. Now that'll be happier, now that I'm referencing that namespace. Quick sense check. Doesn't the web forms tree view use the tree node bindings as levels 0, 1, and 2? So the first binding is top level. Second is level 2. Something like that, yeah. Okay, so that should give me the root node. So this should still error out with, but have that one element in it. Right, if we, come on. So we're looking for 6 elements, for the 6 elements in that XML document, but we should still get just the one, and it's this first tree node that we're emitting here. No, didn't even get that one. Ugh. So let me go back over here. Where'd it go? Here. When that data bind was called, right? I think I'm going to need to force state has changed so it reruns. Zebcode, you're passing a data type of XML, but you're passing JSON. Still 0. Okay, let's go back into here and put a breakpoint there. And put a breakpoint there too. Sure, why not? Debug. Let's take a look, see. So at this time, data source is document? Yes, okay. Data bindings is not a thing yet. So it's not going to render anything. I just pressed continue. Data source is a thing. Data bindings is still not a thing. And yep, there's my error. Data bindings for the tree view here is this element, the data bindings element inside of there. So why is it telling me that's nothing? Because it's clearly bound here. Right? That's a parameter that's loaded. There's a thing there. Nope, he's got the header there on the content type. His local name, not even there. We're trying to get this, past this, the data bindings aren't set. They're not available in the tree view, even though that's available as a parameter here, right? If I put a break down here, right? I don't want to run the failed tests. I want to debug the failed tests. There we go. So it's trying to do this first render. Now, down here, data source is a thing. And if I scroll up, data bindings is not a thing. Child content is a thing. But why isn't data bindings? Now at this point, still no data bindings. I feel like we lost a couple steps here, friends. I was in the final step. I was on after pre-render. On after render async. Right? If I move it down here. So I'm trying to go all the way at the end of the process. Right, so data source is something there, but data bindings does not exist. So how am I not getting it bound to that? Right? Somewhere I'm losing that. Electric Havoc!
Electric Havoc just resubscribed for 12 months. Wow. This year has been wildly fast.
Thank you so much, Electric Havoc. 1 year with us. Congratulations, you just got a rainbow hat badge with the propeller on top. Thank you so much for all your support, and we'll make a donation to code.org this quarter. I'm really confused why I'm not getting this. What if I get so I need the child content for when the static content is there, for when the tree nodes are there. If I comment that out, does data bindings get loaded? It should load anyway. See, yeah. All right, let's just comment that out for right now. Because we want to be able to pivot between these two. Data bindings is still null. Now, how is that null? Yeah. When it clearly was something, right? When I called DataBind here in the previous model, right? At this point, it was something. I'm getting confused here in the order of events, the state of things. Let's see what happens here. Come on. Okay, there it's trying to do that thing. Now at this point, that's still null. Like, tree node bindings is null also. Bang. Hang on. Now I'm really confused. Remove that stuff that we were trying to build. Debug this again. Some log statements to help see the order the code is rendered. Maybe. Maybe? Okay. So at this point, do I have data bindings? No. How did I lose this? All right, friends. Where did I thought I had a? I guess I closed it. Here's what we're gonna do. When in doubt, git stash, roll back, because we had this working. Here, right? Everything's back the way it was. I'm going to move that breakpoint so it's right? Debug there. You like the terminal background? Thank you, Shark Deed. Appreciate the kind words. I know what's going on. Now we have node bindings, data bindings. Oh no, we don't. We don't. But we have tree node bindings. Yes. Wait, there's 6 of them. Book, chapter, section, book, chapter, section. Okay, let's think this through. Where is tree node bindings being loaded from? This, which is being called inside of the tree node binding component. These are being called onParameterSetAsync. Let's put a breakpoint there. Are we... Maybe I'm doing this backwards. Debug into this. These should be set right off the top. All right, let's debug. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and it's outputting it again. And there it goes. Now we have them. I think tree node bindings, this should be a hash set. So that we don't end up with them in there twice. Right? Thinking. So, okay, this tells me, with this not being populated, if I... What's the opposite of git stash? Is it git pop? No. Git stash help. I forget. What's the reverse of git stash? Git stash pop. Yeah, that's what I wanted. So let's bring that back. Yeah. Okay. Back over here. So that was fine. Right? If I get rid of this, it's not data bindings that I'm looking at. It's the underscore. This tree node bindings. .any. It already is going to be something, but make sure that there are some bindings there. Then we can go through it. The other change that I had made over there was I made this a hash set instead of a list. Okay. So now let me rerun this. Let's see what we get popping out here. And build succeeded. I want to see it come back and tell me that it found that one node that we added. Okay, it found the one. Okay. So it rendered the root element, but we didn't tell it to render anything else yet. So now it feels like, to Blazor Mr. Magoo's point, we've rendered this node. We should pass into it where we are in the hierarchy so that it knows to go look for other elements underneath of this. Right? So can we do something like equals like that. And in our tree node, can we do XML element? Is that a thing? Can we do that? Why don't you like that? Component parameter should be public. It should be, but trust me, it's okay. It's okay. You can do this. You're going to make me make that public, aren't you? Okay. Fine. This is unit testing that I'm doing to try and get this to drive properly. So I can then look at this, right? Parent tree view nodes add this, okay. But I can also look at the tree node itself here. Right, so it's going to write out all this. Child content, if there is any, and I'm going to add effectively then the same bits from over here. Right? If current element does not equal null, and I know I'm hard coding this to XML at this point. We'll figure out how to make this a little bit more abstract to handle other record types when we get there here. Okay, so I already have the element. I need to see if there's child elements. So child elements equals current element dot select nodes star. So I'm selecting the down level elements, just like I was doing over here. Elements, I can just say element child nodes. Okay, let's do that. All right. So I'm passing those in, and I want to see if it has a binding for the child nodes. So now I'm going to do a for each on element in child elements. This is going to be the same type of structure. This binding equals parent tree view dot tree node bindings now needs to be a thing. This now needs to be public. First or default. Element local name. Why don't you? Oh, because element isn't necessarily. Okay. Var node. If element, if node is XML element, that's fine. If it is not, continue. So now I can say var element equals node as XML element. So now that should work. because element is, there it goes. All right, so now I have a binding. I should have a binding. I'm going to end up doing something like this, but different. Let's copy that. So if this binding does not equal null, instead of saying open component, I'm going to say tree node text equals ta-da, like that. And I'm going to be able to say current element equals element so that it looks and finds if there are child. Now that should for through and build that. Kabazi, you think you fixed it? What did you fix? You're sending a PR now. All right. Jan Lyons, hello. Build errors. Root doesn't exist. Where did I still reference root somewhere? Ah, this should be element. I didn't want to copy that in. What did I? No. Run that again. What do you have, Kabazi? Do you have the C# way working? Because this declarative way is... That looks like it worked. The C# way. Oh, okay. Okay, I definitely want to see that. Let me run this and see if this works. I would prefer the C# way, friends, because that's a little bit more direct. And we'll be able to abstract out and swap in the different data types for record sources, for data source correctly. So I'm interested in that. How you doing, Jan Lance? Let us know there in the chat room. Little Freddy asks, Razor is across? Let me put that up there on the screen here. What? Razor is a cross between C# and HTML, right? Yes. If you think about how PHP and some other templating-based languages, classic ASP back in the day, kind of mishmash back and forth between a programming language and HTML markup, that's what Razor does. And you denote your pivot between those by using an @ sign here whenever you want to go from markup into C#. And the editor here helps us with this, right? So look, here's a table cell. Well, we want to do some C# work, so we put @ sign and everything after that you see highlighted here. Razor just knows is C# until it sees the beginning of a tag. Razor then knows to stop C# processing and start emitting HTML until we have another @ sign. And everything inside the parentheses is C#. And our editor helps us with a little bit of highlighting there so we know what's C# and what's HTML, how it's going to be processed. So thank you for the question, little Freddy. I hope that clears it up a little bit for you. You're burning yourself on pizza. Oh my goodness. Don't do that, my friend. Here we go. TreeView, and so that works. XML data source, and it works! That works. If we have to continue going forward this way. Now, right, the way that we're interacting with this is very tightly coupled to XML. We've got this current element I had to pass along here. Kabazi thinks tree nodes should have been added via child content. Oh. Okay. If you have a pull request there for us to take a look at. So let me back up here over to the project. Fix! He fixed it! Oh man. I'm excited. So Kabazi's had a couple of really good contributions here to the project. I'm curious to see what the change was we needed. One file changed. Ain't it the truth? Ain't it the truth? One file, that's all it needed. What do you got for us here? I'm excited. I'm hoping to see a
flawless victory.
Yes, one of those. But it if I scroll, so the same unit test that I just got past is sitting over here. Let's see if it works. Little Freddy, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you clicking that follow button. You're only used to using Spring MVC in Java. That uses TimeLeaf in a similar manner. Yeah. So Kabazi's change passes the same unit test that I just wrote all that code for the last half hour here on stream. Let's see if we can take a look there. Yeah, best comment ever. Fix. Curious Drive, thank you for the follow. I wanted to get. Did I download it? Is it in my downloads? I wanted to download a sound effect to start adding here. I did. I wanted to start adding this guy. Come on, play. Why aren't you playing?
But how do we go about fixing it specifically?
Here we go.
Take it one step at a time.
One step.
Identify the problem. Fix it. Identify another problem. Fix it. Repeat as necessary until it's all fixed.
There you go. I'm going to get that wired up here because I think that's appropriate. So, I mean, it passed the test. Let me see what... So let's take a look at the change that Kabazi has for us here. So you're starting the tree node counter at 2. Are you kidding? That's all you did? And the tree node counter plus plus. Okay, so element has child nodes. Add elements is all I did. You're adding an attribute for child content and then adding the elements. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's great stuff. I like that solution much better, and I'll tell you why. Because the add elements method that we have here, I have a feeling we're going to be able to take that, abstract it a little bit, pop it out so we can reference not just an XML node list, but a collection of elements here. The elements might have had nothing to do with it. My goodness. This looks really, really good.
Totes my goats.
Totally. Let's get this plugged in. I'm going to what do I want to do here? I'm going to stash what I've got. I'm going to merge your change. Let's call this fix for TreeView dynamic node generation. Merging. Fantastic. And now I can pull that in. So I like how simple that is. Let me go back here to... Right, so here's the changes from Kabazi. I'll let that build and run the test. So here it is. If the element has child nodes, add an attribute. Add an attribute for child content. Why isn't it an element? Oh, it's the render fragment that says add the elements and add element. Oh my goodness. That makes sense. Now what's builder 5? Right, where's builder 5 come from? That's just the name that you have there. But that tested out. What kind of terminal is that? That's Windows terminal. I just set a background to it. Looks great. With respect, I'm going to just rename some of the variables here. So that it's a little bit clearer what's being passed along here. Builder add attribute, yeah. So, and the other question was, is that 2? You specified a 2 up here. If I make that 0, does that still work? Let me just rerun the test to make sure. Yep, it is the new Windows terminal. I just set a background image to it, and I'm running PowerShell. I've got it set up so when I open it, it jumps right into my dev folder, and it's all set up with PowerShell, with PoshGit, and with the cool background that I like. But I can do other things. We learned how to split the terminal. It works. So it wasn't the number, but it was the child content here to tell it to render the next ones down. Oh my goodness, that's nice. Well done, Kabazi. Well done indeed. Another fathead. Yes, thank you for that compliment to Kabazi. Absolutely.
Kabazi, nice work.
Yeah. We'll make a donation to code.org, but great work there. Thank you so much. Working with PoshGit could get misconstrued. No. This is all right. Now we're in. Now we got it here. PoshGit is Git for PowerShell. Yep. And there's a link for it there in the chat room. The bot actually got that right. So we have it now rendering, right? If I rerun the entire project all the way out to the after Blazor server side, XML data source, and it expands and collapses properly because the show expand is there, right? On so that's even better than what I had before. Where to go? Right? This is after Blazor. Don't need this one. This one. Right? So by default, it shows and that works nicely. Ah, great stuff. All right. Love it. Is that Jay Farah? Asks, this is a nice question. Is there any reason I use the terminal instead of the Teams window in Visual Studio for Git? I've been using Git since before things were plugged into Visual Studio here, so I'm much more comfortable doing the standard check-in, check-out, commit, branch, push, pull. I'm more comfortable doing those at the command line than I am in Visual Studio. That's just my preference, that I'm more familiar with those commands because I've been using Git for almost 10 years. So that's where I prefer to work. You can use whichever tool makes you happy, but this is what makes me happy, is doing those at the command line. We're manually coercing the generator to add the child content properly, correctly. Yes. Am I hosting some kind of documentation? So the project does have some documentation for this. So if you click out here to the code, there is a docs folder here that has a bunch of markdown. And it does not recompile when the markdown is changed. And I've even got some information here about the different migration steps that we're going to need to take to migrate a project to use this. So this is really cool. I love seeing this. So next steps, right? Now that we have this XML data source working, right? So the only thing that I changed is just the rename of that builder, and I reset the number up here. Let me commit just those two changes. Change variable names. And this will kind of go away after we publish. When we publish, we'll compress all these down, right? We'll rebase, we'll squash our merges. So all of these little middle commits go away. You didn't like any of the GUI Git clients until you found Git Tower. You like Git Tower? A lot of folks like Git Kraken. That's another great one. The preference for the Solution Explorer on the left side rather than the right. So here's the thing. I put it over there because I used to have my video over on the left side, and I wanted it on the left side so that I wasn't hiding any code. Now, I want it on the left side because if it was over here, all of the code would be jammed up against. So it's a question of video layout. The code ends up being in the middle of the screen because of how I have it laid out. So that's the only reason why. Once you've climbed the learning curve for Git, the command line is really great. Yeah. Yep. So, okay. Next steps. Let's update the documentation before I push up. Right. Let me update the documentation to include that we support the XML data source, XML data binding for the tree control. Right, so here's the tree view, usage notes, features supported in Blazor, static tree nodes, checkbox display. I think, aren't we also supporting the checkbox on click? Right? Let me make sure I know what I'm. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about. Where to go? Data binding. Yes, I love data binding. On tree node expanded, collapsed, and check changed. Tree node expand and collapse events. Tree node checkbox checked, unchecked events. XML document data binding. Right, to include and list here are the features that we've added. So there it is. And I'll just amend that to the commit. Why don't you like that? Add that. Did I just misspell amend? I did. Okay. And I can push that out. And I'm going to set the next version. I want to issue a preview 1 version that includes the tree view. So I'm going to set the next version to... that's PowerShell that I'm using. Thank you for the follow. Is that Serge? Welcome. Welcome in. The GitHub extension for PR extension for VS Code is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Let me see. How do I want to do this? I don't want to push. I want to push a preview version to master, which means I'm going to squash everything. I'm going to squash everything and push it into dev, which means I'm going to pull back and overwrite what's in here and smash what's here. Right, so I'm kind of worried about destroying history. Nope, not conemu. It is not. This is the new Windows terminal. How do I want to do this? I want to issue a preview 1, but I'm going to end up destroying my history. No, I didn't want to do that. So, yeah, there it was up there. Right, this. There it goes. Tree view into dev, able to merge. Initial tree view feature. Static node support. Checkboxes. And XML data source. XML data binding. XML document data binding. It's always, well, it is today. this same song on loop. So here's all the different things that we have here. And I want to squash and merge, right? And it, see, why is it saying it can when clearly this is still being built? Right. This should not say that I can squash and merge because we're still waiting for that last one. There it goes. Webface!
Webface_CA just resubscribed for 5 months. Thanks for all you do on this stream.
Oh, thank you.
Always great content.
Appreciate that. 5 months. And we'll make a donation to code.org. I appreciate you bringing your Twitch Prime sub here. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, maybe you still have it from the holidays because you wanted free shipping, and now you got cool free videos that you can watch on Amazon Video. Check it out. You can connect that to your Twitch account, and you get one channel subscription you can use anywhere you'd like here on Twitch. If you use it here, you'll get 17 emotes. You'll get all the ads turned off on my channel, and you get to throw emotes at my face. And we'll make a donation to code.org, and it costs you nothing. Thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing that. So that compiled, that ran. I don't know why it says that it's not able to publish test result attachments, because there they are. That's good. Merge it. Initial tree view feature. Musical bookworm.
Musical Bookworm just resubscribed for 10 months.
Thank you so much. 10 months with Twitch Prime as well. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that very kind subscription. We'll make a donation to code.org. Thank you. Let's call this initial tree view documentation. Tree view layout, the expand feature, tooltip, and that. Checkbox functionality. Yep. Sure. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Nope. Nope. Let's see. Change base validator. I'm not going to include that. That's not something we need for public. Changes to package reference versions. Now we're good there. Added support to TreeView for XML data binding. Fantastic. And the 2 co-authors. Nice. There it is, and deleted the feature TreeView branch, which is fine, because we'll come back and create a new branch, and we'll start working with that. Ganesh!
Ganesh just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the resub. So that's now in my dev branch. Oh my gosh, Stormfist!
Stormfist68 just resubscribed for 6 months. Woot.
Woot
Celebrating
indeed.
My 6-month subiversary.
6 months, that's going to put you into a blue subscriber badge hat. Thank you so much for that. And, oh my goodness, the hype train has arrived. Level 1 is complete. We've got 4.5 minutes to try and get to level 2. You can see that here on Twitch, just above here. And, oh boy, here comes the hype train. Yep, subs and cheers, we'll continue that. And you'll have a chance to get some cool exclusive emotes for keeping the hype train moving. And of course, all the subscriptions, all the cheers here, we're going to donate to code.org, who are helping teach kids in our schools more about science and technology. And Janescu has requested party time for the next 5 minutes. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. Not voice mode, voice mod. Yeah, musical bookworm with 100 bits. Thank you for that. Let me get...
Let me add some
Oh my
value.
gosh. And the bald-bearded builder, he's another member of the Live Coders team.
FTW.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Here we go. Because it's time to party with the hype train. Thank you so much. I'm going to set the 5-minute timer. 5 minutes to try and get, actually 3 minutes left to get to level 2 and keep moving that train along. Thank you so much. Badge upgrades, bald bearded builder with the 25,000 bit badge in channel. Thank you so much, my friend. We're gonna make, yeah, that's a tremendous number of donations to all the organizations we've worked with over the past 2 years. 2 years I've been streaming here on Twitch, and actually, coming up in about 2 weeks is my 1-year partner-versary, right? 1 year since becoming a Twitch partner. Really looking forward to that. It is party time, Motown Andy. This is DJ Fritzy Fritz. Talking to you live. Where's my friend Junie Von Esch? She keeps teasing me that I become a DJ when I'm here on Twitch. I don't know. Kinda, a little bit. I'm gonna set up and pull in the next. I'm gonna keep pushing this up. So this is preview 1. I'm gonna go into my dev branch and merge in. Well, we did merge in. I'm gonna mark this over here. Let's jump over to the dev branch. Yes. It's getting a little slow here. I don't know what's going on. No auto-tune required. It's just the dulcet tones of your friend, Jeff Ritz. Yeah. I want to tag this, right? So I'm going to use, this is our versioning tool, NerdBank Git Versioning NBGV. Bald Bearded Builder has requested harder, better, faster, stronger. Yeah, I'm sounding like Daft Punk. We've got less than a minute left to try and get to level 3 of the hype train. We're gonna squeak that out. Anyone have any subscriptions they want to renew? Any cheers you want to pop up there? That's quite all right if we don't make it. If you're interested, 30 seconds to go. Eternal Dev Coder with a couple bits there. Thank you so much. Oh yeah. Let me tag this to mark the version. And that should mark this as 050 preview 1. Good. I will push that tag up. And we'll submit the pull request that'll cut a version and send that out to... Oh, there already is one? Okay, thanks. Bald Bearded Builder with 10 gift subs. Are you kidding me? Woo! Kodescu, Wakos, Martin Britanov, Kasich Kuchen, Dev, Cotter, Potato Quality, Nick Larson, Adriel, Karsten Pets, FanMax, and Marcus Voice Programmer. You just all got gift subs thanks to our friend, the Bald Bearded Builder. Thank you very much, and we're going to make a whole bunch of donations to code.org. Marcus Voice Programmer with 100 bits. Thank you so much. Put your hands up in the air like you just can't, wait, hang on. Put your hands in the air like you just don't care. We made it to, everybody gets a level 1 hype train emote. Thank you so much for participating. It just ended. We just missed it. Thank you very much. Everybody gets an emote. There you go. There's the Hype Griffin. All right, we've got about 30 seconds left on party mode. Alright, so I have my 050 preview 1. I'm going to send that pull request up. Just push it right up to master so it'll be released. So one more pull request. We're going to go to master. Master branch is where we publish. So set in version. And some of the other things that were merged in here. Now, oh, crumbs. Before I need to pull these other things back, don't I? There we go. All right. Thank you so much. That was that was fun. It's always fun to do the hype train. Let me go jump over to master real quick. Right? Yeah, pull in all of those. Okay. Head back over to dev. Merge in. Why is that so slow? Merge master back down into dev. There we go. Push that back up. Okay. Let me refresh this, compare changes. Hotel is booked for you, Brave Cobra. Fantastic. All right, now we should have a little bit less here. Well, okay, maybe not. Yeah, I updated that. Refresh this. Checking mergeability. Yeah. I shouldn't see all of these things. There's the tree view. There's that merge. Okay. Fantastic. I think we're good. Yep. So we'll create the pull request. Added tree view. Add a tree view component. Here we go. So when this finishes, we'll get a preview 1 version pushed out. But while we're here in dev, I'm going to set the version to 050 preview 2. Right? Set version to 050 preview 2, because we're not done yet. Push that out. Okay. Pull, and that should delete my... Right? I want to get rid of this one and rebuild it. Actually, rename it. Right? Feature tree view, get rid of that. And we should... One pending check. Oh no. Oh no! I didn't want that up there. Rats. Check that out. Yes, I know. Oh no, I want to get reset to it, don't I? Right? EC02. No, git checkout dev. Right? Force that back up there so that it doesn't have the new version, right? Yes, I know. I know you're failing that check because I just... Actually, look at that. That failed. That should work. Let's see, make sure that this goes through. And we should cache... It isn't it doing master into dev? No. No, we're commits merging 19 commits into master from dev. We're good. We're good. Thanks for the double check there, Simon. But we're in the right direction. Now it's telling me that it didn't build properly, which... Build was manually deleted. Okay. Do it again. How can I force that to go again? Yes.
Oh
right,
my.
this is 60. Rerun it. Let's make sure that goes properly. Gareth!
Gareth Hubble just resubscribed for 19 months. 19 months? Hello all.
Hey.
How is everyone?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for those 19 months, and we're going to make a donation to code.org. Don't worry about it, Gareth. It's time zones. They do a funny thing to us. Remember, Tuesday we're going to be a little bit earlier than normal. Tuesday we're going to have Eagle Hansen joining us, and we're going to walk through and talk about testing and building some more tests for the framework here for the first half, and we'll continue for the second half right to our normal end time, building more features, maybe writing some more data binding in here. So that should be a little bit better timing for our friends in Europe that are watching in the time zones east of where I am here in the United States. So that looks like it built properly, so I'm going to merge this in, and I don't want to squash and merge, do I? I guess so. But if I do, no, I don't want to squash and merge. I just want to straight merge. So that's merged in now. Good. And it should do one more rebuild on master to do a release. Here it goes, right here. So, doing anything for NDC? Asks Simon. Nope. I will not be at NDC London this week. There's a bunch of my colleagues will be there. We're trying to set up for NDC Melbourne, actually. They've announced an event there, and I might be involved with that. What's the difference between squash and merge and just merge? Squash and merge takes all of the commits and turns it into one and adds it in. So if you look back at my list of commits here, right, the initial tree view feature here, this is all of those things that we were working on over the last week or so with commits by Eagle and Kabazi that are now that one commit that we were making many commits in GitHub. Well, now it's just one squashed together in there with work from all of us. So here's that 050 preview. Looks like it's all built properly. We've got 91 tests all running well. And if I click over to releases, we should see it's being published to NuGet right now. That's awesome. I'm going to set up so that I have some place to work for next time. Let me pull in everything from there. I should hop over. Now I want to do the set version, right? I should still have that here. There it is. And do that same git commit. Push that up. Cool. And I'm going to check out and get ready for a feature TreeView data binding, let's call it. There we go. And git push origin feature TreeView data binding. And this is where we'll be working next time. There it goes. Nothing really, but it's going to create that new branch out there for us. Fantastic. I'm ready to go. I can write some more documentation. I can continue working on these features for us. But we've cleaned up everything that we had here. It's in a good place for us to continue working next time. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. This was really great. And gosh, thank you, Kabazi, for figuring out that child content fix that we had to drop in there. That's really great, and it's going to help us set the tone, something we can replicate as we go forward and we build some of our other components that are going to have child controls that we need to render. Particularly, we're setting up so that we can do menus and we can do the grid. The grid's going to be the monster component we're going to need to build soon here. And that's coming up probably in the next few weeks. We'll get to that. Reminder again, Tuesday, I'm starting early. Check the schedule just below us here on Twitch. I'm starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, 1300 UTC. That's 5 a.m. Pacific for those of you on the West Coast. Because we're going to have a guest. Eagle Hansen's going to join us. And we're going to talk more about testing and how we can simplify and write better tests for our component library. I'm going to set up for our raid. It's Sunday morning. You know who we raid on Sunday mornings here, friends. So if you're a subscriber, copy that first line. There's a bunch of new subscribers out there. Copy that first line. Copy it onto your clipboard. Get ready. Copy that second line if you're not a subscriber. That's okay. Copy it onto your clipboard. We're going to announce ourselves. We're going to be loud. We're going to be proud. And that's right, Smab. We're going to head over and we're going to raid our friend, Suze Hinton. She is the No-Op Cat. Stick around. We're going to head over there and welcome her. Give her a nice loud greeting so that she knows we're happy to see her. All right? This has been maybe not completely flawless, but we had a lot of good fun today. This video, like all my other videos, will be available over on GitHub. It'll be available over on the YouTube channel. I released 3 videos yesterday. I'm going to be releasing a lot more today and tomorrow as I get caught up here. All right, friends. Get ready to say hi to Suze, and we will see you Tuesday, bright and early. Take care.